How is the business going?
The business started 2023 was at like 10k. In November we was at way over 200 clients. We've now got around 10 staff members, so things have grew really quick.
What do you wish you knew earlier when you came into the space?
I wish that I was a lot quicker on certain content strategies and learn how to hold a team accountable, learn how to build a team, learn how to get what you want out of people sooner.
What do you feel you've had to change in yourself to become the person that's needed to be for the business to scale?
For me, it's pain tolerance, resilience. Something would go wrong, a client would leave. I was so emotional, I wouldn't close a call, or someone said something negative about me.
So it's not a cool flex, like you really need to protect your mental bandwidth because it impacts everything. It's not just the business that it's affecting, because I've not been able to sit down and really immerse myself into getting better at sales. So we always said it, I am the bottleneck, but you've really brought that to reality.
If you had to start your business from scratch today, what would you do first to build back to where you are in the next 6 months?
I would go to, what did work at the time, which was like...
Welcome to Hypergrowth. We are joined by Keaton and Mica Winning, Mrs. Winning Fitness and Mr. Winning Fitness. Actual last name, very, very successful entrepreneurs, been working together for a fair while. Of course, very humble, very skilled, been in the space a long, long time. So firstly, Mica, would you like to introduce yourself, ladies first?
Yep, I'm Mica, Mrs. Winning Fitness, expert in helping women with PCOS, hormone-related problems, and have a lot of weight to lose, usually, is my thing. So yeah, that's me.
Love it. Keaton, fill us in.
Yes, so I'm Keaton Winning, the original Winning Fitness, and so I've been in the industry for like 10 years, since I was 16, started as a gym cleaner, got to the busiest PT in the gym, from there launched the online platform, met Mica a few years down the line, and we have created something that I'm very proud of, so look forward to chatting about it.
Love it. Where did all of this start? Now, you were in the PT space, Mica came into the online space, I believe. So fill us in, how did you get into online coaching?
Yeah, okay, cool. So, as I said, I was an extremely busy personal trainer for years. I would come home from work and I'd be like to Mica, like, this can't be it. This can't be everything. I was not exposed to education online, to mentors, to what could actually happen. I didn't have an idea of what online coaching was. So I remember just then looking on Instagram, reading books, and once I went all in and invested in mentorship, that's when I realised exactly how things work. Scaled it from there, got to a very good position, as I've always been a kind of hard-working guy. And then a few months down the line, actually, I forced Mica to quit a job. This was like one of my personal proudest moments. Forced Mica to quit a job. She did, and like she has excelled and let things take off as well.
Yeah, so just to add to that, I've got a corporate background. So I was quite a senior manager in a corporate setting, managing within risk and compliance. So it was a big role change for me to step into. But although it's very different responsibilities, it has a lot of transferable skills, because I was managing 14 FTE on performance and achieving goals. So yeah, that's my background. I think something I want to add, that coming into the online space for you, we always reminisce, don't we, on how we missed a trick during COVID. Like everybody else people who we look up to in the coaching space, they've almost got years on us because they knew of online coaching and mentorships during COVID, whereas we weren't exposed to it. And you really struggled mentally during COVID, and we've started 4 years behind some of the best people, so we've caught up in that time.
Being from where I'm from, like quite a rough part of Manchester, you're exposed to, you're with all your friends, they're all in the pub, they're all partying. So this entrepreneurial lifestyle actually was the total opposite of who I was a few years back. So it's the best thing that ever happened to me, actually finding my way into mentorship and into online coaching.
What were the biggest challenges early on for you to, number one, push into this space, but grow in this space as well? Because we're not talking about a 0 to 1 situation here. We're talking about consistent scaling over a fairly short period of time.
The biggest challenge was realizing that you're no longer just a coach. You're no longer just yes, the passion is helping people, but there was always a deeper mission to create a lifestyle that we wanted to live for each other. So the biggest challenge was being a leader, not just a leader for your clients, but a leader for for yourself, how I present myself every day, but also being a leader for the future team that comes on. That's been the biggest challenge to grow, learning how to operate at that level from literally a zero start.
I think as a missus looking, I think the biggest challenge for you was imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
It was a lot of, you've come from quite a rough area. You were surrounded by people who had gone through qualifications, quite a decent upbringing.
Within
mentorships. They were exposed to parents who were very driven. And you had a lot of imposter syndrome, a lot of moments of doubt, which we used to not hit heads over, but you had so much potential. And there has been times where you've just needed reassurance on everything's going good. You're a relatively new business, quickly growing, and that reassurance hasn't always been there. So you've had moments of really bad, am I just winging it? Am I like fluking this?
Yeah, that's a good point actually, and hopefully that inspires other guys in my position or with a similar upbringing or from a similar area or similar accent. Do you know what I mean? Because I struggled to even make eye contact with someone that I thought was intelligent, which I really struggled with, and that's down to self-confidence, right? So it's like anyone who has their own doubts, just go knee deep into the education, put yourself in them uncomfortable environments, and you will grow, you will thrive in the end. And now I'm obviously a lot more comfortable, that's why I'm on this podcast.
Love it. More of a selfish question, maybe. How do you find working together as a couple? As in, how do you feel that was either beneficial or challenging? Do you think it is a good idea for other people?
Okay, yeah. So I've been hit so many times with, that is a bad move. You shouldn't do that. You should not work with your partner. I'm like, no, you shouldn't work with your partner. I see my partner as, and she's going to smile now, but incredibly talented, really intelligent. And she holds, when my mind is going off on one for whatever reason, actually I've got that ground in there as well. She can see what's going on in the day to day, whereas I feel like most partners would just say, why are you working so much? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Whereas actually I've got someone in the trenches with me every day. Of course it has its difficulties, which I'm sure Mica will talk about, as she is a powerful personality, but so am I, and I see myself as a leader and the owner, if you like, and that sometimes can make us clash heads with ideas, coming up. But you find your way. We've got different strengths and weaknesses, and we push and pull and lean in towards kind of each other's strengths and weaknesses when we need to.
It wasn't easy at the start. It really wasn't easy. Like, not holding back, it was really, really hard because you're so proud of what you've built, and I got brought into it later. So, like, respectfully, like, it was yours and it is yours. So when I'd have ideas, like, I had built my career from nothing. I started frontline on calls and got myself to a senior position within a big corporate company, really respected, like top 10 managers within the entire company. And then when I had views and opinions, you used to think that was me taking control, which was so far beyond that now. We've really recovered it. We've understood each other's views. There'll be times we're sat in the car, we're listening to Hormozy on a podcast, and that topic comes up, and we look at each other and we're like, what are they saying? And he's got a view on that, like, his wife is such a strength within his business and he wouldn't have what he has without her. We joke as well, I'm the spousal objection. Yeah. So I'm very, very headstrong in being, because I have more of an outside view. So I'm able to take myself out the equation and look at what we've been promised, what we've committed to, what have we been told we'll receive in terms of a service, and I'll say it for what it is. Whereas I'm respectful, you're a little bit more, soft and ballerini around the subject.
It can be quite surprising.
If he's not received a good service, he's happy to just be like, oh, I just don't want to say anything. And I'm like, you've paid like X amount of thousands of pounds. You don't just have to accept it because you can afford it. Someone needs to be told that the service isn't up to standard. And that's where I'm from, a servicing background. That was my job as a quality manager. So I'm okay saying it.
Ultimately, I think anyone going into the world of what this is it going to be harder doing it on your own? Or is it going to be easier doing it with someone who understands you as a human being in the business and can have a second opinion? Like, of course it's going to be easier.
Do you feel it shortcut your path to where you are right now? As in, I don't know if everyone does know, how is the business going? Where have you guys gotten to? What do you feel your best months has produced for you, and even like the learning lessons, challenges that has come along with that?
So it 100% has fast tracks because of Misha's skill set and, you know, her ability to manage people. I've been able to delegate faster. I've had a second opinion and made better decisions. So that's actually fast tracked. The business was, you know, 2023. I can't remember where we was. I think we was at like start of 2023 was at like 10k, whereas, you know, in November we was at 80k pounds, and with way over 200 clients. So we've now got around 10 staff members. So things have grew really quick, and just having that support network there, that is your missus, who is actually, you know, again in the trenches with you. I think for anyone who's thinking about taking on the missus, or, you know, the best friend, I've also got my best friend working for me. What my vision was always have a family orientated business, people that can trust in key positions, that's going to give me a lot of leverage, and people who are just as invested in the business as I am. And I feel like that's what's fast tracked it as quick as I possibly can, because I've got help around me.
Love to hear it, honestly. Power couple from what I'm seeing from the outside. And for you as well, if we are, let's say, looking at it from the outside, for your mental beliefs, for you to overcome some of these obstacles, because everyone knows it's not like a straight line up. There's been downfalls, there's been highs, lows. What do you feel you've had to change in yourself to, both of you guys, to become the person that's needed to be for the business to scale?
Do you want me to go? I think mine's being more vulnerable in my story and being very authentic to my audience, like because that scaled us big, didn't it? Yeah. Like doing podcasts, speaking, which, was huge to us from, me just not holding back on being true with what I've experienced.
So I got Misha 50 clients around at the start. She didn't have her own Instagram or anything like that. We then was like, you've got an amazing story here. We had to put Misha's story out. She really did not want it out. So actually, being vulnerable for you fast track that business as well. For me, it's pain tolerance, resilience in my brain. Like, something would go wrong, a client would leave. I was so emotional. I wouldn't close a call, or, you know, someone said something negative about me. Now I feel like I've got the ability to just stay neutral and just understand, okay, let's look at the variables, what went wrong, what went right, what can I do to move forward. That's the biggest obstacle, that kind of emotional response to rejection hurt me a lot. But nowadays, just staying neutral, that's how I've kind of overcome that issue. I'm trying to think of something else, any other obstacles that I've had to overcome as well, or that we've had to overcome.
I think just again, like coming back to not imposter syndrome, but within the community that we're exposed to, we go to a lot of events with other coaches. So people do form relationships. Everyone has strong opinions on who you should be seeking advice from. So some of these personalities are very powerful, and they have really great businesses. So you look at those people as like, you aspire to have what they have, but in the same breath, sometimes that's not great, because you can find yourself just following like a sheep because, they're hitting those months, they're with that mentor, that's what I need to do. So I think being brave in standing against what everybody else is doing was a really big thing that's put us in a really happy, like the last few months, really enjoyable. We said it this morning. We're really happy right now with being with you. It's felt enjoyable because we really actually have clarity on that we're doing well and what we should be doing. And that was a big, brave move, because everyone around us was almost like, what? Like, you're leaving this one and you're going somewhere else. And it wasn't necessarily the mentorship that was being mentioned. Like, there was other mentors in the space. And I was like, no, we need to stand against the grain, but make a bold and brave move, and it's going to pay off. And it's been the best thing that we've done.
Yeah, I think one of my biggest strengths is taking action and quick. I think you've learned that over the last month. Like, I'm not scared of work. Like, if I have clarity on what I need to do, it is getting done. Like, imperfect, as good as I can possibly do. Someone might get it back. It's a bag of shite, how it looks. I don't care. I'm going to do it, and then I'm going to get to the table and go, what needs to improve from now, and then try and work it out.
I love working with you guys, because you guys are easy to work with, let's say, because you execute very well and take on information very well. So it's been, of course, like a pleasure. But the main thing I think you also mentioned was that when you are standing against the grain and going against the grain for the business, it builds a level of resilience which is applied in the business. And I understand that's very, very difficult as well for where you were at because of the amount of people that were coming from where you guys were, including myself. So I know exactly what was going on there. So that may be vague in terms of public listening, but
it puts you in a place of power. Like, no one's influencing me. I'm in control of my life, what decisions I make. So, I mean, every single mentor that I've ever had, cannot slag anyone off. Every single mentor has benefited me massively. All had the place, but this was 100% the correct move for me at this time, 100%.
Appreciate you saying. I think we came into this space more specifically solving a different problem, which was the next level up in terms of information of what's more streamlined, let's say. So we weren't trying to put people like through a funnel, basically, and that was where I feel it's more impactful now. But for you, what do you feel has been most impactful tactically as well for you, the business, let's say?
I think the level of accountability for the appointment setting. I know you're probably bored of people mentioning the appointment settings, yeah, but it's so good. It's so clear, it's so precise. So actually scaling with the setters, the speed of the hiring, the positions that you can fill within the business to delegate as fast as you can, coming out of the low priority tasks as fast as you possibly can. And then from there, you've got the mental bandwidth to track your numbers, to look exactly, of the holes in the bucket, fill them holes, and then you can scale from there if you've got, funding behind you, which we spoke about. So I just think the general accountability and quality of the team, the appointment setting, focusing on calls booked, calls closed.
And just to add, I think we've been exposed again to conversations that appointment setting, training and conversations are seen as you're almost going backwards to only discuss, because everyone's focus is ad spend, ad spend, ad spend. And I'm sat there thinking, we haven't got support or like concrete knowledge that ads are doing well. Like, are we just spending money and it's just leaky bucket? So when conversations were being had about we're really wanting to loop back round and dig back to the front line, people thought that was a little bit of a crazy move. Like, what? You're going back to appointment setting? That's what you almost do, like when you're at 5 to 10K months. And that was some of the conversations that we were exposed to, which was making us think, are we being crazy? Are we making the right move? And it's been such a great move.
I think people need to realise,
you've got problems within your business.
Stop looking for the next sexy thing. If what you're doing currently is not maximised, it's not at 100% capacity, there's something missing, there's a hole, and you are wasting so much potential there. I think once everything's set up, as we are now, the team is set up, calls being booked in, the appointment setting is bang on, because we've got certain tactics to keep the accountability level so high and the quality so high, and we've got a clear structure and scripts. It's like, once that's set up, you can then look at maybe the sexy thing and trial certain things within the business. But
like, if anyone's listening to this who has doubts over the performance of their Instagram and content, like, we've had those doubts where we're thinking, is it our content? Are we just not getting reach? Is it just us? Is it our accents? Is it like, what's going on? And it can really, again, that imposter syndrome thing comes back in, where you almost think like, am I ever going to get this off the road? I mean, we were doing really well, but still having those doubts to think, is it the inbox? Like, but is it what we're putting out? And then to actually revisit it. And as soon as we changed script and we really knuckled down on the performance management, it was like, oh my God, this inbox has always had crazy potential. And we've just been sticking a plaster over the problem, driving loads of money into ads. And actually, we just needed to look at the engine of
we used to blame lead quality, we used to blame traffic, we used to blame all sorts.
But we're still doing so well.
Of us, who we are as people, who was like, it's because of my accent, because we're rough. Or
it's because we don't speak a certain way.
It's actually not. It's like, but people are so scared to be knocked down a peg to go back into the simple things. To then rebuild. And yes, you might take a financial hit for a couple of months. That's all good. Build the foundations back up and then scale from there.
People don't want to do the dirty work because it's required a lot of, you're on calls every day, because you say you should be having a call, giving that good feedback, giving constructive feedback, giving examples. You're on a call every day. At the start, I kept joking and calling him the glorified babysitter, but I know that's what's been needed to get the setters to a really good place. But day one of changing script, do you remember? I said, let's make the move.
I had a meltdown.
He had a meltdown. So I said, let's make the move. Trust me. Like, I'm telling you, this is where we need to be. So we made the move. Spousal, come on, let's do it. Put it all on me. And day one, we changed the script and a call wasn't booked. And you went mad at me. You have done this. Your fault. You tell me what to do. And then we got all of the feedback because the Slack channel
I'm not
and
a
the
narcissist,
support.
guys, by the way.
But it was me saying, no, we need to leave. So that was valid. But we got the feedback immediately. We sent loads of chats over. What are we not doing right? Got loads of feedback. And then the next day, like 7 calls were booked, which is like the most that's ever been booked for a long time in one day. And then I sat there like, haha.
Love to hear it. Honestly, it's a long game that you're playing, and I think you have the infinite game in mind. I think you're playing for a long game as well, which is what allows you to make those moves that inevitably build the roots deeper for the business. But how do you find work? As in, hard, difficult, stressful? Do you think it's needed? Do you think it's necessary? Because there's a lot of people coming into this space that want the business tomorrow. They want to do what you've done overnight. And how have you found it so far?
Okay, so of course it is painful. Like, there is a certain level of pain. You almost enjoying the pain when you are getting through the work. It's like the thought of the work is worse than actually doing it. Once you are in the midst of it and you're like, I have to make it work now, you actually start to enjoy it and get a little bit of positive feedback from yourself. Like, I did that, that's done. When you start, there's not a better feeling than ticking boxes off the list. Not a better feeling. But it is scary, it is painful, and people got to be prepared for that. And you do have to be essentially painful. I believe that what the work you're doing now will show in the next 8-12 weeks.
But I think you hit the nail on the head. You have to have those next steps for it to be enjoyable. Because if you're just swimming, it can feel like, what's my next move? How do I grow? I've got no direction. I've got no reassurance. And that's not the nice place. Like, we've had moments where it's like, I just don't know where we're going. I don't know how we go to the next level. And you're just looking at other pages and what are they doing? And that's not nice. But I think what's really important is you need to be in the right environment. It is stressful and it is like painful at times. But like we said, like yesterday, it's been enjoyable because we know what we need to do. We've got clear action and we've got expectations to get it done, like by next week, or holding us accountable to tick that off. It's been welcomed pressure because we know we've got to do it, but we know why it's going to have that result. So it's been enjoyable.
Essentially, it's like training, dieting, if we relate to fitness, is painful. When you're good at the thing, it's still painful, but it's enjoyable. Do you know what I mean? So it's like you just have to get pretty good at the thing, and then you will enjoy the pain. You'll understand the pain has a benefit on the other side of that, and it's just the exact same.
Love it. Delayed gratification, I think, is one of the most important skills that you can develop, and you guys have done that very, very well, of course. And what would you say you would change? Let's say, what do you wish you knew earlier when you came into the space, and even when you were growing in the space?
I wish that I was a lot quicker on certain content strategies, changing angles very quickly, powerful hooks. I think if I was doing what I was doing now a couple of years ago, when it was a little bit easier to create lead generation and to create that traction, now it's very, very difficult. If I knew that a couple of years ago, when I was still online training, so I believe that if there's any trends going on now in terms of content and stuff, people need to take action now, other than wait 6 months and then end up doing the same thing anyway. And also building a team and holding the team accountable is something that if you're hiring even one VA, you need to take action on holding that person accountable, making sure you're getting what you want out of that person, because people will hold on to the same VA for years who is essentially burning the business completely. I just let mine run ragged for years. We did okay because I'm like a blunt force type of guy, right? You're doing shit, so let's up the volume, when that wasn't the correct way. So learn how to hold the team accountable, learn how to build the team, learn how to get what you want out of people sooner, even if it's one staff member that you've got. The sooner you do that, the more you can delegate, the quicker things will grow.
Yeah, I think like me having that corporate managerial exposure makes me tougher with decisions. Like as big as he is, he's a softer. He's like the big heart. You know, the Filipino VA can tell him she's got 5 kids and
I was buying him presents.
he sent one of them to a spa because she was not feeling well. She was mentally struggling and he paid for her to go to a spa, which is beautiful, but he's very, very soft. Whereas I'm like, no, if I was to manage that person through performance, they're done. So there's been really good opportunities for us to bounce back. And you've actually now leaned into me and be like, what's your opinion? And I'm like, that person isn't coming back in. Like cut them off. They're not good for the business. They're going to drag us down. So we balance each other out. But in the same breath, like you were saying, what would you do differently? Or I think of times where I'm from a corporate background, all I've ever done is manage people and get the best out of people. And there's been times I've sat back and thought, I've got so immersed into coaching, I've forgotten some of those skills where it makes so much sense when I was saying to you about doing the VA stuff and making sure that we've not got a leaky bucket and make sure the performance is there on the front end. But you get so caught up in the ad spend and putting on ads because everyone's there. And I took a step back one day and I was like, oh, it makes so much sense to me. We're just blindly sticking a plaster over the issue. So I think that's big reflection of how you get so caught up in what everyone else is doing. Even me having those skills, it took a while for the penny to drop of me forgetting, no, like you look at your front end and what's going on and make sure that that's working effectively. And are we performance managing? Are we doing quality checks? Are we giving that feedback? Because you just get so caught up in it.
I think it's difficult, to be fair. Like, we're moving in a very, very fast-paced business, and like I wouldn't be too hard on not spotting that, because like it's easy for me to say because I'm looking at it from the outside and then I see KPIs, I see numbers, and it's pattern recognition more than anything. But you guys are doing an incredible job on the back end. You have like an insane fulfillment service in which we're like leveraging your time out of to an extent as well. But I wouldn't be too hard on yourselves on that. That's very, very difficult to spot with the amount of stuff you had going on. So for you, is where do you see the business going? As in, where does, let's say, the next 6-12 months look like for you?
Well,
Me getting out of coaching.
yeah, so we need help with the fulfillment side of things. We need highly skilled, especially on the female side. To be honest, I can see the business doubling. We want to be, you know, from a revenue point of view, yes, we want to double. We want to get to the 150, 160 mark. But that's not the main focus for me right now. I've actually got on Canva like a empty kind of, what would you call
Organizational
it?
chart.
Organizational chart where it's just like where the holes are of the team and just trying to fill them holes. And I know if I fill them holes as a byproduct, the business, the finances will come with that. So it's just filling them holes, training them to the best of their ability, making sure the fulfillment without me and Mica stays high quality, because don't get me wrong, we give a shit about every single client walks through the door still. That is one of the most important things for us. And just, creating that kind of family-orientated business and filling them gaps, that's the goal essentially. But as you said, you believe that we've got double, if not triple, potential in there.
Easily, yeah. And I almost did exactly the same thing. I just obsessed over this org chart with the KPIs next to each person, and I was like, what does it take for this person to hit this? As in, am I a bad manager at every point? And then it just took a lot more than I thought, unfortunately. So, but it was worth it. I mean, we were saying earlier with James as well for closing. So bringing James in was the 14th person in, and it was hours every day for years before we were like, okay, this person is as good as me. And then the next thing with setters, it took, I don't know how many, and flying through maybe 100 plus as well. Yeah. And it's not that I know it's worth it, as long as you enjoy the process that you don't think you will enjoy, as in like hiring and firing again and again and managing. I think that's going to be a lot faster for you guys because you're both very, very switched on together. And it's two of you as well.
Yeah, the next milestone for us is both having 5 calls each a day. And then once that starts overflowing, we can then start hiring a little bit more on the sales side of things, and then just eventually building them up as they're taking the more unqualified people, and then, don't want to say exiting, but more or less exiting quite a bit after a couple of years, of course.
Yeah, mine's definitely, like, we've already started to implement, like, we've got so many new members of staff since over the last couple of weeks to really free us up so we can focus on sales, marketing, two important things. And it's really, really pushed us into, well, me, not you. You take it head on. I'm the one who's really sensitive to the sales stuff, but I'm doing it because I'm held accountable to do it. And like, James is amazing for help, really reassuring. Like, so we're in a good place, but definitely getting us less clients, handing them over. Like, already we're feeling the benefits of that.
Yeah,
It's exciting.
I feel 5 stone lighter.
Yeah.
Seriously.
It's so exciting.
I really do.
You know what was most beneficial for me? Like a long time ago, many years ago, it was one of my first mentors that basically told me that the most important but also the most expensive thing that you can buy in the business, that you can invest into in the business, is bandwidth. Yeah. And it was bandwidth consisting of time as well as stress, as in the decision-making process. Like, do everything you can to shortcut that decision-making process and then buy back as much time as possible. And then I think that's where things started to click. But for you, how has that been important for you now, and how is that continuing to be important, would you say?
Increasing my mental bandwidth has been everything, and I'm sure that I'm going to see the benefits of that in the next couple of months. It's like even started with the scripts, right? Qualify early just makes total sense because you're saving the appointment setter's bandwidth, who is then booking quality calls, which I'm getting on them calls. It's saving my bandwidth because I'm not getting on the calls with unqualified leads, and there's just this massive knock-on effect of saving bandwidth from stage 1 of the funnel all the way to the top of me signing someone up. And I can now create good quality content. I can now book podcasts and do 3 hours in a podcast room. I can now get on a call every single day with every single member of staff if I need to. That's a real needle that's going to move the business forward, not the, low priority things that's going to take all your bandwidth. Being on a call for an hour with a very emotional client that you're not essentially getting paid for at that time. So yeah, it's affected me so much. I don't know where you're at with it.
Yeah, I think I've dealt with it being almost like a cool flex, because I speak to people and they'll be like, oh, I can't cope, I've got 50 clients. And I'm like, do you do check-ins? And they're like, no, don't do message. I'm like, I've got 120 clients. I do personal Loom videos for every single one of them throughout the week, weekly. I have all of my messages in WhatsApp myself, and then I'm still doing 6 sales calls. I'm like, and you get to a point where that seems like it's a bit of a cool flex. Like, when you said in the mastermind weekend, like, who can work harder than me? It's the sort of thing. And it's like, I can outwork you. Like, I'm working 24 hours a day, it feels. But it's got to a point where you really feel, no, it's not cool. You hit burnout. We hit heads because I've not done things that I should be doing for the business. My VSL, oh my God, couldn't think of anything worse than doing that right now because I've not got the capacity. And then we hit heads because he's like, have you done this? And I'm like, do not even come at me. I've got 120 clients. I'm doing 6 sales calls. I'm doing all my messages. So it's not a cool flex. Like, you really need to protect your mental bandwidth because it impacts everything. It's not just the business that it's affecting, because I've not been able to sit down and really immerse myself into getting better at sales. So we always said it, I am the bottleneck of needing to get rid of some of those clients, or majority of them, so we can grow even further. But you've really brought that to reality.
Yeah, one thing I am actually struggling with, not struggling with because it's not often, but I've got a very busy schedule. Like, let's say Monday to Thursday, like, is absolutely rammed. Sometimes I'll have like maybe calls that haven't been booked on that day, specific day, whatever it is. Just having an evening where it's like actually empty and I've ticked all the boxes, designed the content, and I'm like trying to force things in. I actually don't know what to do. Like, and I'm not saying I've got loads of spare time and, I'm completely free and I go and play golf every Wednesday. That is not it. But sometimes I have got really spare time to do nothing. And I'm just sending
creeps
myself
you out,
under.
doesn't
It creeps me out.
He's like, I've got nothing in, and that makes him again anxious because he's got nothing.
So
he doesn't think of anything that he needs to do.
I feel like I'm not a millionaire. Why am I sat on the couch doing nothing? Like, I should be doing something to be a millionaire right now. So what do you do in that time?
That's hilarious. Honestly, that never goes away. I promise you. I don't think that is meant to go away. I remember it was one of my old men, unfortunately passed away. He was very hard on, number one, if you're trying to run high level business to the level of Olympic standards, for example, an athlete who trains 7 days a week, 9 hours a day, is very unlikely to be the highest performance athlete. So if you're intentional in resting, where you're able to sit with your mind with zero thoughts and be okay with that for the sake of energy reloading, let's say resetting, then it's easier to scale. That being said, he also said most entrepreneurs who start out at the beginning, it's needed for them to have this level of hard work, of working hard. Now, at the beginning, it's needed. You need more volume to get better. But there's so much validation from working hard that they forget that the whole work smart thing as well comes into play. More importantly, being able to leverage your own time, energy, bandwidth. And that is where either people get stuck because all they get told is work smart, don't work hard kind of thing. They don't get the direction on what to do, what that means really.
Yeah, what the context is behind it. Like, it's actually okay to have a couple of hours downtime. Like, but again, it's an environment. Like, everyone is, and I'm guilty of doing it. Like, what do you mean you're struggling? Like, I'm doing this much, and that's not helping that person, because I'm probably influencing that person to think they're not doing enough. When actually, when you look at it, but again, it's that environment of just people not telling you that it's okay to have a couple of hours.
Well, I just think I've built enough resilience and the kind of pain tolerance in my head where I could work 6 a.m. till 9, 10 p.m. every single day. Like, not an issue. It's just having the work there available. So yeah, I will literally use my bandwidth sat there thinking, what can I be doing now? I should review that sales call. Should I look at the messages? And I'm just end up scrolling, doing nothing. So that is something that I need to get used to a little bit, just on a Friday afternoon where I'm pretty free. Yeah.
You know what was most beneficial for me and what forced me out of this, because during med school, it was like very, very full on, and it was literally 14, 16 hours a day. And then even after I tried to fill those gaps when I didn't have uni again and I was finished, I was like, the fuck do I do now? That's actually where hypergrowth came from, right? Now, when I tried to fill those gaps, I burnt myself out further than, because I tried to go excessive in those gaps. The only thing that helped me was basically having someone else who forced let's say a time off, as in this is where we cut off. The only thing being intentional rest in that point is how often can you consciously not touch your phone. So the intentional rest, the only difference between that being work and rest was not touching your phone. And that was my reminder, that's what rest means now. The only difference was the screen time. And then making that easy was literally just scheduling it in. As in, it was scheduled dinners every day. It was every night. So we make sure that happens. And then, of course, the most painful thing is like, I need to respond to something. I need to do this. I need to do this. And I think another person is what would be helpful. So I
shout at him in the morning. We do a dog walk in the morning, which is in my calendar, and I don't take my phone. And I say to him, leave your phone at home. Like, we're out doing a walk with a dog. You do not need your phone.
I just need to get to work as soon as I possibly can. Just get it done. But
so it's work in progress.
Yeah, 100%.
It is going to be easy, but it's needed.
Yeah,
yeah,
it is.
100%. 100%. Right. I feel like if I actually, because I get nervous from white empty space on my Google Calendar, so maybe if I just fill it with red and just say downtime, I feel a lot better, because it looks full at least.
I had to do that at a certain point, and I got this blocking app which just like stops me using my phone at a certain point, and then it's painful, and then I go on my laptop.
Oh my God, I did that app where you can't use anything, but then I'm like, oh, I've decided I want to use it.
And you have to jump through 10 hoops to get back into an app, and yeah, it's painful. Now, if you had to start your business from scratch today, start from zero, no socials, no nothing, what would you do first to, let's say, build back to where you are in the next 6 months, 3 months even? Big question, I know. there's a heavy shift in subject there
Yeah.
as well.
So
I think we've got different angles on this, haven't we?
yeah, I would go to, what did work at the time, which was like maybe train 5 to 10 people for absolutely free, get some form of results or some form of messages coming in that you can show as social proof. Start the social media, look at what's going viral. This is what I never did. I just posted random crap. Actually look at what's going viral and try to go viral in your very first post and your second post and your third post and build that following as quick as you can. And as you are, building that following, you want to message every single person. There are people just starting out who have no idea they can message people and, actually contact people to showcase what they do, and not be afraid of quote unquote sales. It is just showing someone that they need your help. Yeah. Don't have no fear about that. Lean into that and go for that. Yeah. So aim for virality from the off. Look at what's working and don't copy it, but make it your way. Number 2 would be message every single person that you know or that could possibly, do with the services. Train people for free and get results, and, get help as quick as you possibly can.
I think mine, if it's to start from scratch, I'm big on personal brand, because I think that's what's been a real big strength for Mrs. Winning Fitness. Personal brand and getting into what I'm passionate about sooner, because it flew when I spoke about my medical conditions on the podcast, and then that gave me then a solid niche, and then it gave me a little bit of a platform where women now come and they're like, I need to work with you. Whereas for probably 18 months or so, it was just women. We hadn't found that concrete, this is the avenue. And it flew from that point of doing the podcast, didn't it? Speaking about what I've gone through. So I think personal brand, my niche straight away, because there was a period where it was a little bit floater. And yeah, just full steam ahead.
Which side are you similar on there?
With that.
Interesting. It depends on the time frame. Longer time frame, Mica. Shorter time frame, Keaton. If I was really, really wanted to be aggressive, it would be, of course, go for all platforms, because you can only message cold followers so much before you get action limited. Go all platforms, message all of them. I mean, post spam in Facebook groups, spam in all the groups, outbound everyone. And then I even said at that point, scrape a list from wherever and just dial every single person. Yeah. If I was being super, super aggressive and was back against the wall, had to make 10K tomorrow, whatever it is with zero. But long-term play, once again, I think yours is still the 3-month play. I think yours would be more of like the 6 to 12-month play, which would pay the higher dividends in the long run. Yours is also scalable. Like, both of them combined is the answer.
Well, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, that's what you're doing right now.
But we have that complement inside, because I'm big on the community and the cult almost vibes. Like, I have like an insane show rate. Like, if a woman books a call, they don't really not show up.
I'm essentially very business orientated.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. I get the game. Do you know what I mean? I believe I do anyway.
But there's been times where we've listened, like I said, socials. I said, let's go on LinkedIn, and Amanda said, don't go on LinkedIn. And I was like, told you. And then we also were told, don't bother with TikTok. But we were also told, don't bother with TikTok. And I went viral 4 times on TikTok and had like 30 sign-ups within a week. If you've got content, we did a podcast, and you've got the content available, put it on all of the platforms. What's the worst thing that can happen? You might have someone who says, don't bother with TikTok, it's got shit leads. But if that's getting eyes to my page, the amount of followers that I gained from that, I also got told don't put ads in Ireland because I can't afford it. And then I've got a huge Irish base now. So I think sometimes people can give you advice, but you still have to have a little bit of your own gut instincts, and what's the harm in you trying it? But there's been a few things where we were told not to do it, and it's ended up being one of the best things for business. TikTok was huge. Client base in Ireland grew massively. We put a couple of ads out there, and it paid off.
I think like, even for, like, you've got a very emotional story, big weight loss story. I just think even if you've lost 10 pounds, like, what's your upbringing been like? What limiting beliefs did you have younger? Like, tell that story as well. Like, I didn't think that my mum being hooked on drugs, my dad being in jail, having a very rough upbringing, having certain points being in hostels and just things like that. I never thought that I could explain that I'm a fitness business. Once I did, I just started connecting with not just potential clients, but my current clients were more invested in me as well. So I just think telling that story as well is very helpful, no matter what the story is.
However, can I just add the one thing, even like I'm big on the branding and the show rate and people loving me and wanting to work with me. It means nothing if you can't close calls. And that's what actually just reflecting, if there's one thing, you need to get better at closing calls. You need to get better at sales, because I'm learning that now. I'm almost like deconstructing my way of doing things, which isn't easy, but the support's there to do it, and it's exciting doing something new.
You finally
but
let me give you feedback.
Yeah, we had time last night and I was like, please will you go through sales with me?
I was like, what the fuck is going on?
But yeah, getting good at that, because it's pointless having the traffic, it's pointless going viral on TikTok, it's pointless having the brand and the story if you can't get people on a call and make them see why they need your help. And I think that's huge for me, because I've got all of that nailed. The calls flood in, but it's my ability right now which needs to be improved.
That's okay. It's
Yeah,
always
I'm
a
cool
learning
with that.
process. The main thing I think is that you're willing to learn and open to learn, which means that all of these things compound. I think sales is powerful because it applies to content as well at a certain point. And the brand, you have the perfect combination of both. You already know this. You're good outbound marketers, good brand. And I spoke a little about this as well. You being able to shift from not sticking to one binary pole, not being polarized by one idea, to the point where you can't see the full range, the full spectrum, and you can't see the middle line or make your own decisions on where the actual middle is the most important thing as well. I went heavy on this at the event because I was very sure that people had one idea or another, and that was the only thing that they can stick to. And do you feel that's been powerful in other areas of life in general, as in being able to make your own decisions?
Oh yeah, that was that activity, and I was dead chuffed because I had neutral lines. I didn't give a tick or a cross, and I was like, I've won, because I didn't have an opinion. I won the game. I'm like that. I've got neutral lines. I won. People will be like, what is she on about? But I definitely think it's been so beneficial to just be bold in looking at what's out there, and just looking at the business, understanding where the gaps are, reflecting on what we want as a direction and support that we want, and talking it through with other people as well, because you understand what people are typically unhappy with but are willing to still keep, like, just to accept. You're almost like, why are you just going along with something when you've clearly got niggles that you're not happy with, or support that you don't feel like you're receiving, but you're not brave enough to make that change? So
I don't think you should be ever on one side or the other. You should see both sides of the story and just have that adaptability in your life. Do you know what I mean? Because once you commit to one side, you're only going one way. So you need to understand the general direction that you want to go in, and whatever comes along in that path opportunities, you have to explore that.
Couldn't agree more. And I think that's been the case in a lot of, let's say, the businesses coming into this as well. They're either all ads or all content or all just sales, and nothing matters about brand, and it's always one or the other for a lot of people, and that is where a lot of people are capped. The biggest businesses I've seen right now, it's just always a founder that's open to learning and open to basically making a decision based off the information and data, as well as, of course, their own findings, instead of just like this person did this or this person did this.
I like to always, in my content, you try and speak to a 5-year-old, right? So if you're speaking to other business owners and other fitness entrepreneurs, it's like, right, okay, so you're all about your clients eating carbs and eating what they want, but towards the end of a diet, do you not take carbs out, or do you not remove a lot of the carbs? So actually, you're not against low carbohydrate. So, okay, so you can't be one-sided and say this is the only way to do things and how to get an end result.
Exactly, you nailed it. I mean, for you as well, if we had to have, let's say, closing thoughts as to not just how you're feeling about, let's say, your future going forward, but your most beneficial pieces of advice or thoughts, beliefs that you would feel be most applicable to a wider audience. Most impactful things for you specifically that you would like to share?
most impactful thing that I'd like to share for someone in a similar situation,
In a similar situation.
like just echoing what I've sort of said today, in terms of you need to expose yourself to someone who's done it and who's got the proof of running a really successful business. And I think that's important, to invest in a mentor, because we've spoken about the stress and feeling like you're drowning at times because you've not got the direction. But that is it. You need the direction. So I think there's so many mentorships out there who good at giving you, having calls and having community and to some degree helping, but it's never concrete. Sit down, let's review, did that work? It's try this because that's what everybody else is trying. And from what I've seen, that's worked to some extent. We have tried things and it has worked, but it's not good enough for that imposter voice that tells you, well, you're just fluking it. Like, it's so healthy to actually revisit it and be like, yeah, like you get our ads dashboard up. Like, that's the first time that we've had, right, show me what the spend is, show me how much this is, how's that performing, actually tell us how much more money to put on that, and actually give him confidence that it's scripted and the content must be really well, because the return is silly cheap. And I think it's all right someone telling you, and at first you're thinking, oh, I've got some advice, but that only goes so far before you think, right, where do I go from here, or is it working anymore? So I think get yourself exposed to a situation where you finally have that clarity that you're not only just doing what you're being asked, but someone's actually revisiting that with you. Because otherwise it just starts to feel a little bit like you're still just swimming and hoping for the best. Does that make sense?
I think that other coaches, what I've seen at mentorships, right, of someone on 5K, 10K, 15K, 20K, will look at, people doing what maybe we're doing. I can promise you now, I'm sat at a table with people earning some ridiculous money, got some amazing businesses. We are nothing special. People put us on a pedestal and put people who are doing X amount of money on a pedestal and look at them like almost gods. Like, we are nothing special. I am a lad from a rough area, pretty uneducated growing up, had back against the wall. I'm not saying no one is special. All you have to do is get a clear action plan in place, understand the direction that you want to go in, and understand what the end product of yourself could look like, and get to the table and work it out and stop living out of fear and just kind of lean into the difficulties. You don't have to be special. You don't have to be super talented. You have to put one step in front of the other, and you will learn along the way.
I think that's probably one of the biggest things that is always going to consistently scale you further personally in the business, whatever it is. Both very humble as well as, of course, open and willing to learn, as in hungry to learn. And it's, of course, the most beneficial trait that you can possibly have. So very, very much commend you both. Huge respect to everything you built and continue to build. So thank you very much for joining me. Appreciate you joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, pleasure. That was all right. We didn't argue. It was all right.
Why is he suggesting that all we do is argue?
No.
No, that was brilliant. Honestly, thank you.